Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at the three popular semiconductor stocks, Nvidia, AMD, and Intel. Take a closer look at some recent news that have happened in the past week or so. We're also going to take a closer look at things like forward PE ratios and some other informations impacting these three semiconductor giants. But before we go any further, guys, I do want to say happy Thanksgiving to all that celebrated. Hope everybody spent great time with the family. Hopefully you enjoyed, you got some rest. And now back to the grind here in the semiconductor space. So let's just start off. Now I want to take a closer look at some recent news impacting AMD and all these tech giants. But first, I want to kind of bring up to date some upcoming events coming for investors of these stocks. So AMD on November 28th is having an event, a UBS annual technology conference on Tuesday. I will be covering it, or I will be doing kind of a breakthrough later on. So make sure to check that out. Outside of that, December 7th, they also have another technology conference event. Now, if we take a closer look at NVIDIA, very similar. We do have NVIDIA showcasing on November 28th, and then again on November 29th, followed by December 7th. So we can see again, if you want to stay tuned, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Then we have Intel. Intel is going to be participating on December 6th for another kind of event for the network and edge group products. So
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
now I want to take a closer look at individual news impacting each company. All right, so we're starting off with Intel. And Intel, for those that are not familiar, are building a lot of manufacturing plants worldwide, right? They're not just building it in the United States. One of those places that they're building is in Germany. And Germany, in the past few days, have kind of talked about some stallment in Germany budget for government spending. And a lot of reports are coming out that the German state aids for Intel and other players that are planning on manufacturing or building manufacturing plants in Germany might be in jeopardy. So we still haven't heard much about it. We're just kind of hearing a lot of reports from people close to the community or close to this outlet. It does seem like right now, obviously, semiconductor is important for things like national defense and national security. So a lot of people are bullish or expecting Intel and all these other semiconductor companies that were promised some form of subsidies that they will still get it. But right now, it's still a lot of uncertainty here. So I do believe that's something that investors should kind of keep an eye out for. Now, if we take a closer look at AMD, there wasn't really much AMD news this week, in my opinion. The only thing that we are seeing is AMD is bringing a lot of their gaming GPUs capabilities with PyTorch via their ROCm software to kind of increase their AI development. So right now we know NVIDIA is the king in the GPU market for AI solutions. But AMD, what they're trying to do is they're really trying to bring a lot of maybe the AI solutions to their gaming and consumer cards to some extent. So that's something that we're seeing pretty good here. And obviously it can benefit AMD as we continue to see this AI workload at the moment. Now, outside of that, now before we take a closer look at Nvidia, I do have more of like a global semiconductor news. We do have this report from IDC, and they do mention that worldwide semiconductor market outlook has been upgraded to growth, where they expect 2024 to see roughly a 20.2% growth in the semiconductor space. Obviously, that's going to come out a lot in thanks to smartphones, thanks to the shift in the PC cycle and kind of this hurdle that we passed over the inventory correction that we saw in the past few quarters. So that does bode well for semiconductor investors. I do believe a lot of the semiconductor stocks, though, do believe already knew this. So kind of these news is priced already to some extent, but obviously there's always some room for some bigger growth from here. Now I want to take a closer look at Nvidia, but first, if you are here and it's the first time here, this is the best place you're going to find any semiconductor news. Make sure to hit the thumbs up, the subscribe button. I do have a weekly membership program here. Just click join to learn more about it for my exclusive semiconductor videos, a special offer at fool.com/Jose, and a lot more on the pinned comment. There were reports that Nvidia, their AI chips designed to comply with US regulations, are seeing some form of delay. The main reason is they're having some problems with integrating these chips into server products. That's what's being reported right now, and I guess investors might be a little bit worried about that. Personally, I wouldn't kind of be fearful about that, just because if there is any form of fitment issues, that's something that's going to get solved eventually. And right now, there's such a huge demand for AI market that even though we've heard it in their earnings call, they're going to expect to see a bit of a nice decline in international markets like China because of these regulations. The company still gave us some crazy guidance. So right now we do have some form of wiggle room, in my opinion, for Nvidia to kind of perfect the chips that they are making. Another thing is the chips that they are making, obviously they're meant for they are going to be available for China, but they're going to also be available for globally, to some extent, right? Because AI is being used all over the world. So we are going to continue to see these H100 and H20 and all the other chips that they are creating, in my opinion, see global dominance at the moment. So that's not something that I would worry about. Maybe we will be keeping a closer eye on it. But I do believe right now, with the huge demand in AI solutions, there's still a nice amount of wiggle room for NVIDIA to kind of see some form of delays. I do have one more NVIDIA news out here. NVIDIA recently announced that they're launching a cloud service for medical imaging thanks to medical imaging AI. They call it NVIDIA Moan AI Cloud, and that is released right now, and you can kind of get it in early access via NVIDIA's DGX clouding solution. So we can continue to see how NVIDIA continues to grow their AI solutions into different markets, like now the medical field. And obviously, this improves their software solutions, more money from software. It increases the kind of market opportunity for their infrastructure and their hardware as well. So I do believe that bodes well for investors. Now, I wanted to take a closer look at PE ratios for these three giants. If we take a closer look at current PE ratio, AMD is the most expensive right now with over 1,000. We do have Nvidia sitting at 115, and we do have Intel sitting at roughly 16. So you would think Intel's sitting pretty cheap. But now, if we take a closer look at forward, which is the end of this fiscal year, we can see all of them are actually pretty tight. And AMD is at 46, and Intel is at 46. It is impressive to see that the cheapest is actually Nvidia at 39. Now, if we take a closer look at forward 1 year, that's the end of next fiscal year, the most expensive is AMD at 32, followed by Nvidia at 24, followed by Intel at 23. I do believe, in my opinion, Nvidia still is my favorite. I have no intentions of selling, but right now I would be a little bit mindful of buying at these levels, just because these PE ratios are expecting huge growth in the upcoming years. And we have to see how demand kind of goes on from here. So that's something to keep in mind of. But I also want to kind of showcase how this PE ratio is different from some company like Microsoft, right? Microsoft's forward 1 year PE ratio is 29. So right now, forward 1 year, Nvidia and Intel are both still sitting at cheaper levels than Microsoft, and I think that's something investors should definitely think about. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.